So our beekeeping has come a long ways in 5 years.
Can you get a smoker?
I have made so many mistakes and I've killed a lot of bees.
A queen is right here for this hive where they're going to eat honey.
Eaten, maybe?
They should be buzzing to stay warm. If they're not moving much, they're just really lethargic. Sure seems like they're dead.
So in 2019, we got started with bees. We put out some swarm traps and caught a couple swarms. But then I screwed everything up, moving them into some horizontal hives, and the comb all fell apart. The bees died, some of them left, and I had to start over. In 2020, 2021, I dealt with some really aggressive hives where I had to replace a few queens, and gosh, those bees were not happy with me. And it is a lot of fun to catch swarms, but I've made so many mistakes and I've dropped quite a few of them in the few years that we've been doing that. But last year, I finally drew a line in the sand. I was gonna learn what I was doing. I didn't want to keep having to replace bees every year, and I finally went and plugged into a local bee club and found a mentor to help me through some of these situations I'd been messing up in the past. And then this spring arrived, and our bees are doing amazing. We started the year with 7 hives, and now we're closing in on 18 or 19 hives. And I wanted to get serious about getting our hives stronger going into winter. And so I contacted Rob from Lorob because he has a product called the Instant Vap that can help with mite treatment. So I contacted Rob a few weeks ago to ask him about using the Instant Vap, and he offered to come out to our farm to show me himself. And so today, Rob and his cameraman Nick arrive, and as we get out here to the hives, we've instantly find a swarm right back here on these trees. So we just happened to find a swarm, I think from our own bees, right here behind our bee yard. Could not be easier for us. I think it came off this green hive 2 days ago, and so we're gonna drop it down, and we've got some guests here. Hey Rob.
Hey there.
We'll introduce you to him in a few minutes, but we've got a hive here that we are gonna drop them down into.
All right, Rob.
You want me to hold the box and shake them, or do you
Sure.
want...
Either way, why don't I have you shake it?
Ready?
There you go. And you think they'll move over from up there, the rest of them?
So, we'll probably have to shake them once more.
There's a lot on that wall, that different wall there.
Oh, I got it right here. All right, we got it. On the slide. Do we have a lid for this?
Yep, right over there. So we've got the queen in there. We're gonna close it up because we want her to stay here, and then the rest of the bees will fall in, right?
In an ideal scenario, so if this was at my house, this would be on a 6-foot ladder. I try and keep that colony as close as I can. So if I shake them, I get the queen, I lock her in there, and then I get that colony, the new box, as close as I can, and they just go, oh, she picked here. So I've had really good results with that as long as I get the queen in the box on the first shake, which we did. We secured her. So the big thing now is trying to teach them the roadmap to get here. But since they're balling up about a softball size, we'll give them another shake, see if we can get them down.
So I had just painted up this box the other day because I've got a couple swarm traps that are starting to fill up with bees. And so I intended to use that for this hive, but hey, we'll grab this one today and then we'll grab those in a couple days.
Far back towards them bees over here. Spin her like this. And then you want to crawl up there, give them another shake.
That's fun. I don't think I've had one other swarm in a swarm trap, but never up in our trees, so that's fun here. All right, well you're good, Rob. You can go home now.
Okay, well that's great. I'll
Thanks
get on
for
the plane
coming.
back to Baltimore. This was a good one. Just call me next time a little sooner. I'll make arrangements.
Personal swarm trap calls. Well, they were definitely in this area the other day. I just checked that hive and I had seen a big amount of bees flying right around here. Yeah, I'm out here working on the hives right now, and I think I'm witnessing a swarm happen. I'm not sure where it's coming from, but they are on the move right now. It just started right here. If you look up here, there's a bunch of bees. I think they're gonna make their way up into a tree, or they're gonna move somewhere together. They're moving right up into that tree, I think, but they may have just moved on. So I may have just lost a swarm from one of my hives. It happened right as I was here. But then I started following them, and they were like going up that way. and I just saw them like fly away. And so I thought they were gone. They must have circled back around.
Yeah, I've had them move places. I actually had one the other day that I'm convinced moved back into the colony. So I don't really know it for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's what I witnessed while I was out in the apiary. So that'll be kind of interesting to hear more about and learn more about. But yeah, they're awesome.
You don't have to.
Okay.
He's nice. I'm gonna go look at this stuff. I'm gonna look at this stuff.
So many faces.
So we're working on a couple things today. Obviously we just caught a swarm over here in the trees. The main reason Rob is here, he's from Lorob Bees. The main thing he does is sell products to deal with mite control. And so we're gonna do some testing today to see if we have mites in our hives. Either way, we're gonna get a good feel for how many mites we have, and then we're gonna do some treatment. And I think it's gonna be really interesting to learn more about mites, why they're a problem, and how to deal with them.
So Varroa mites are the big pest in the honeybee world. So you've got your two big things that are killing bees currently that are in the environment, which are pesticides and Varroa mites. And that's really your two big battles. So it's really not the mite that kills. It is the reality is the mites are the vessel for virus. So really by killing mites, you're battling the viral load and generally increasing health in the colony and surrounding colonies, because if you're doing your part, you're helping other people around you to have successful bees. There's a lot to it, but Varroa mites are really a big problem in a lot of ways. But the biggest thing is you need to do some testing so you can understand really where you're at and if your method is working. And I think that's a very crucial part of the entire process. So that's really why I'm here, is to go through the testing part of it, so we can test to see if that's part of your problem. Now we are in the early spring-ish time of the year, so we're hoping to not see huge numbers. If it is, we're going to take some action, see what percentages we'll get on a few of these colonies testing-wise, and if that's the case, we're going to do a few treatments and we're going to get things back under control. We'll get you a treatment regimen and kind of take it from there, but we kind of got to see the battle that we're up against, which is why we got all the testing supplies, doing mite washes, that kind of thing to get you there.
Okay, so I've never done a mite wash before. So what does this entail?
So mite washes are a very critical thing because you're killing bees to save bees. This was a very hard lesson for me to learn as a new beekeeper. I wanted to do everything but kill bees. I know you feel the same way. We want our bees to thrive. We want, be that beekeeper, not a bee haver. They have things that I've tried, which you can use these same cups for, which are sugar washes and that kind of thing. And what's turned out is like sugar washes don't yield the same percentage result. So where you think like, oh, I have a 0% infestation, could have just been a very poor result because they don't really yield what a kill would yield. It just wounds the bees and they end up dying later anyway from a sugar roll. So doing the alcohol wash is a humane way to dispatch the bees and get an accurate number. The sample takes 300 bees. You're trying to get as close to it as you can. You load in the bees into your wash cup. It has a strainer inside. This strainer, you put the bees in where my fingers are holding. The liquid goes in here. Bees are like this and traps them. I believe the time is like a minute and a half. That's generally what I shake it for. What you're doing is you're killing the bees and the mites, and the abrasive shaking, the sloshing technically, you're going for like an oval kind of motion, is knocking the mites off the bees by rolling them. They're gonna fall down into the bottom of this. You're able to then look up to the light and count how many mites you have. 2 or 3 mites is something I would expect to see, that kind of deal. You're hoping to not see a lot in here because your sample size is 300 bees. There are thousands and thousands of bees in every colony. It's just what it is. So for you to have a few here, what you're looking to do then after is to count how many bees were in this, dead bees. You sit there and count them. And then you're able to do the math to figure out a percentage. Generally, beekeepers will treat at the 2% threshold level. You got to collect a sample from recently emerged brood because you're trying to sample just nurse bees. So that's very critical in this entire process because Varroa mites generally are on the underside of the nurse bees because they're trying to make it back into the next cell. Once we get this all set up, I'll let you select that frame. I'll kind of guide you through it. We'll get a sample and we'll take it from there.
So we initially moved some of the bees into a hive back here. We'll get back to that in a few minutes. But then we wanted to look into some of the hives. Rob wanted us to check for a mite count to see how bad our hives were before we treated them.
All right. What do we do next?
So here's one of the first challenges. You have to get 300 bees, or as close to over as good as you can, into this cup.
How do I do that?
Scooping.
Okay.
This is where the fun part happens.
Okay.
So just see what you can do to get them in there. It is troublesome.
Is it easier to like hand and then?
Whatever technique works for you works for me.
I'm losing a lot though.
Yeah. This is one of the pieces that I don't like is trying to get the same.
That might be a 100.
Here, let's try a different technique here. Put them here. Shake that right into my hand. Let's see if we can't. Yep. Double-handed. Alright, so you see how hard and it almost was like it didn't make sense.
Okay.
In a lot of ways. Hand this to one of you. And if you would, we need a sloshing motion. You're trying to be kind of aggressive with it, just don't blow the top off of it. And I'm gonna watch the timer for 1 minute.
Shake it good.
Trying to shake them bees good. There you go.
Slosh.
Like it. There you go. That's a good motion right there. There you go. What are you feeling right now? Arms going?
Yeah.
Yeah? Down.
Easy.
Easy? Okay. All right. I like the energy.
It's easier than bending metal with arms.
Easier than bending metal with your arms. I mean, okay.
We do some weird things.
That's fine. 20 seconds left. We're good with that. So what we'll do now, there are a few Varroa mite in there. So that little red dot down in there.
Okay.
The little tiny red dot is a Varroa mite.
Okay.
Let me verify what our count is here. I've got 2 Varroa that are dead in the bottom. So this colony washed with 2. The thing is, we won't know the percentage until we count the bees.
Okay.
So we'll sit this on the cart there. We'll take that back. We'll count it when we're not in the bee suit. This does take some time.
Okay. So after we checked for mites the old-fashioned way, Rob showed us some of his new products that he's been working on that can help a beekeeper like me figure out how to do this ourselves.
This colony is juicy. Look at that. Wow. Wall to wall both sides. What's that next one? Off the bat, I'm seeing baby bees. See how they're real furry and not really, they're a bit lighter in color. That's a baby bee. That one just emerged. Let me look around. If I see a few more of them, so there's another one. So this is a prime candidate here. Okay, bunch are open. They're backfilling some. I see a bunch of baby bees in here. So baby bees in here, recently emerged ones.
I don't see the queen.
Okay, good. I didn't either, which is good. I'll give her just another once over. You don't want to wash the queen. There's a queen right there. She's got a little bit of a red mark on her. What we're going to do is we're going to get our sample cup. I'm going to fill it with our solution that we've already mixed. So what I like to do is I take the frame, our sampling tray, I set it here. So what I need you boys to do is take it so it's...
We'll do one at a time.
Parallel over here, one at a time. Give it one firm, snappy shake. And your goal is to get as many bees on that tray as possible. Good.
Sorry.
All right, go ahead. You can do one from yours. There you go. So to do your sample, you've got your bees. All you're gonna do is take them like this, and you can just kind of tap it and take your sample in here. It's got a little line in the cup, so you can guesstimate. I know that's about our number. You guys can stick your frames back in, and then I'll have you do some shaking and start. So you're going for there you go. Nice. There you go. 30 seconds, halfway there.
Your machine. Do it.
And you're good. I'll give her one little like this, just to make sure we knock down anything. What we'll do now is we'll see, like a 0. So I don't see any in here, which is a good sign, unlike the last one. So they drop immediately, so it's not like it's a time thing.
Okay.
So this one washed to 0, and that's it. It's that easy to do. It takes seconds. So now we got to take both samples back. We have to count them to get hard data. Could we guess? Yes, we could always say, there's about 300 bees in here. But if our math is wrong or our guesstimate was wrong, and it was only 150 bees, and you count X amount of mites in the bottom, like the other one we washed a few mites, it could be double the percentage that you thought. So it's very important to count them to get that precise number.
All right, so now we're at the part where we need to count how many bees in here so we can see how many mites we have per how many bees for the entire hive. So how's this gonna work?
So right here we have our 2 samples from the 2 that we took today. We're gonna do some side-by-side comparisons. We're going to hang count this one, the standard counting method, just dump them out, count them out, and then do the quick math, figure out what your percentage of infestation is. And then we're going to use a new device that we're coming out with to do the next sample, see if that doesn't expedite the process and yield us a good result. So that's it. Now it's just time to get to it and start counting. So I know for a fact that this has 3 Varroa mite in the bottom. I can see them.
We're using a scale, or are we gonna like lay them out and count them?
So we have to actually count them. So the big thing is, and you literally just sit here and count them. I tend to group them into groups of 10 to make life a little easy. You can notice the hard part is they all kind of are clung together.
The groups of 20?
Yep.
I think they're just short of 180.
Definitely not 300, which is why you count. So you got a 1.6% threshold. So you're right at that line of treatment. It's definitely a colony to treat for sure. We will get that treatment done today. Every 20 to 24, I think, days, they multiply by like a factor of 5 or something. You're going to be really bad come August when you're going to need to. So especially for it being this early in the season, seeing 3 mites in such a small sample is not good. So we're going to get through that. We're going to vaporize them today. This one we used our tray. We know we got a much bigger sample size. I can tell just by looking at the cup. We were able to really capture that a lot more. This was a 0, so there's really we don't need to count them. But for curiosity's sake, I'm curious how big this sample is.
Sure.
So we start empty. We've got our wet, sopping wet bees that if I dump this out would be a solid block, just like how they were. They all kind of moved together. It's impossible to get a good weight. You can see all the foam and all this stuff that's in there. You wouldn't be able to just weigh these. Take your DeWalt battery or Milwaukee, what have you. Click it in there. All right. So in literally seconds, and you flung all the water off of them. So if you see, you have a dry just clump of bees.
Nice.
Right, so there was all your random water weight that you couldn't account for earlier. So on average, and you can get an average weight for your bees to be more precise. What I've seen, because I've done a bunch of them in this strategy, it comes out to 0.11 of a gram is the average weight of a honeybee from what I've seen. So you can take one of these little pocket scales. Now we're going to take our not water weight bunch of bees. I'm going to dump them in our cup. See if I can't get them all in here. Almost 70 grams. We'll let it 69, and then we'll divide it by that 0.11 that I was saying. So the way the math works, that is a 627 bee sample. So yeah, so that's it. It's that easy. To be able to replicate that is super simple as well. To be able to just spin the next one, a few of these cups, and go colony to colony to colony, not having to sit there and count things out for 5-7 minutes. In that time, you could have taken the next colony sample and just walked right down your bee yard, with it being battery powered and portable, to battle. I want people to do testing, regardless of what your treatment method is or whatever that is. By you knowing and having statistical data, you know that you're doing right by your bees, and I think that's a big piece.
So after checking for mites in a few of our hives, we end up closing up our swarm trap and moving our purple hive to its permanent location right here. So it's been probably close to an hour now, and so we're gonna move. Hang on, go slow. You gotta bottom, you gotta hold on there. Eli's gonna slide our box over. We've moved some frames of brood in there.
You're giving them a little food, you're giving them some brood, you're giving them some eggs larvae, which means for them to stay in that box. So you're giving them the best start that you can every day of the week.
And as tradition, on our channel, we drop all of our swarm traps when we grab bees. Not on purpose.
Oh, Jake.
I've got quite a few videos of me dropping swarm boxes. All right, we're gonna go over to this. And just like that, we've got a new hive, a new purple hive here. So 2 doors down, I think, might be where these guys came from. So they tried to get away, but we've got them right here. And so the whole reason to have Rob out to our farm was to treat the bees with oxalic acid. So now it was time to get the instant vap out and put it to work on our hives. So in the past, I've been using these Apivar strips, and I don't know much about anything, but I know that they are some type of poison. From what I understand, the bees will walk over it. It'll numb or paralyze the mites that will eventually come off. And so I know I can use these for part of the year, but for the time when we're gonna harvest our honey, I know that can be an issue. And so that's why we're talking about oxalic acid today, is because that's EPA approved and you can do it any time of the year and it doesn't affect the honey whatsoever. So what is oxalic acid and what does it do to the mites?
What I believe that it does, from what I've read and that kind of thing, is that it burns the hands of the Varroa mite, which is the mouth. They die, and then the bees groom them off, which is how they knock them off into the bottom boards, which is why I witness them in the bottom of my apame colonies and all that. Like you said, oxalic acid can be used year round, but I will be the first one to tell you that's probably not the best choice if you're in certain scenarios. So the more brood that you have, the more treatment you would need, and the more treatment regimen you would need to get the same result as like one treatment with a broodless colony. Right, so oxalic acid, as good as it is in crazy temperature ranges and all that stuff, you have to be mindful of how much brood you have and what your mite load, your viral load is, because if you're really battling, it may not be the choice in that instance. Now, if you get things early enough and you're at a low enough threshold and you want to maintain what you have throughout the year, testing and treating with oxalic acid is the ticket. A lot of our customers use oxalic acid specifically as a very heavy lifter over the winter season. When the bees are dialed back, they wait for like a 50-degree day when they're moving, and they're good to go, and they treat during those time periods, and then they do another treatment during springtime as a like spring cleanup, that kind of thing. So we're going to do oxalic acid vaporization. We're going to use the Instant Vap 18-volt compact. This one runs on a DeWalt battery, so that's what we have hooked up for it. We've got a 6 amp hour flex volt battery that we're going to run. I have that. I've got the battery here. We have in our carrying case, we've got our device and our blender. Everything on the unit stainless steel except for one term part component and the bowl, which is aluminum, and it will hold up tremendously. So a lot of the commercial guys run these, down to even guys with just a few colonies who, you know, want to have fast, efficient treatments. They want to make it worth their while, and they want to have a device they can depend on. They're really nice, they're really uniform, they've got a really low stem. Some of the refinements from the previous versions, we did away with all the screens. It's got a little proprietary computer chip in it that does all your battery voltage protection and calculation on temperature, and tells you when the optimal time is to move to the next colony based on how much oxalic acid goes into it.
So with this, I'm under the assumption that this gets really hot, and then it turns our powder oxalic acid into just smoke that will go into
it just turns
a gas.
Yeah, it sublimates oxalic acid. So it's weird in the oxalic acid is weird in the fact that like you're used to most things when you boil it off, it changes into some different form or what have you. But the oxalic acid just turns into a finer powder that moves throughout the colony. It blows in at a good pace. The bees circulate it around using their wings and such, and they actually get covered what looks like snow on your beard or whatever. A very fine powder all the way around.
It has no effect on the bees whatsoever.
Nope. That's the beauty of it. It doesn't mess with them at all. As long as you're staying within your legal requirements, the label is the law and all that deal, you'll be just fine. You're not going to overdo things. You're not going to hurt the bees. During the warmer months, you may not have as effective of a treatment. You'll need to treat frequently to get the same results as, you know, wintertime, but you're not going to have downside.
How do we know how much to administer to them?
So it says it on the packaging of like the apabioxol or the EasyOx oxalic acid that you buy. Generally, depending on the packaging, it can be 1 gram per brood box or 2 gram per brood box. There are guys who do more and claim better results, but you'll have to, you know, take that up with your local apiary inspector and that kind of thing, see what's legal in your area. That being said, we got to crack some respirators out. That's one of the big things with oxalic acid. While it's so common that it's actually like a large percentage of kidney stones, it's already found in honey in large amounts in every single colony. You can't breathe it in. It's just your body's not designed to break that down and get that through your body. It's the same way that like you can eat greens, but if you eat too many, then you're gonna have a kidney stone. It's the same concept, but through your lungs, you don't have an out for it. So it's very important to have a good respirator. You don't need anything crazy, but a respirator rated for organic vapor is key. So what we're gonna do now is because this is a new bag of oxalic acid, we're going to take our plunger out. I want to see if it's going to stick in the plunger. So right now, let me set it for 2 grams, which is what it is. And all I'm going to do, all you do to load these plungers, you don't depress anything, you just hold it, and you stick it down in that bag. And it should pack in the end, as you can see. Okay, so, and then to dispense it, you put it in the unit. And then when you push down on the top, it just shoots that plug right into the pressured vessel, and you're treating your colony. So, all right, we know that works. We know the OA is in good shape.
But just wiggle it right in that entrance there. Our weight's gonna do it. That's okay. You go ahead and just, it's ready to go. You can see the red light, solid means it's good. We'll get a fast blinking light, that'll mean we're treating. Sticker in the bag, nice and firmly, down into the OA. There you go. Okay. Put that right down in there. Take it down in there. Good job. Now this is where, if you had this tucked down a little bit, you'd have a little less fume coming out. Okay. So we may need to get some sort of towel or something. You see the few bees coming out that are really well coated. So they're getting a really nice treatment. You see the towel. Put it on. So this one, so here's our swarm hive that we just put together today with the swarm from the tree. So we're going to treat them right now after we caught them. Okay. Okay. Pretty easy, huh? Mm-hmm. So because this one works so good, it's not really critical that it gets good treatment, but to educate your viewership, I think this would be a cool thing. So yeah, so doing the treatment, you'll see it circulate up through. A lot of it will be down in the bottom box, but when we see the vapor coming through the top, it's really, really potent.
So for the next 30 minutes, we got all 18 of our hives treated with the instant bath, including our flow hives and our round ivory beehive. And the guys even got a special treat from inside the ivory beehive. All right, so we got all of our mite treatment done in about 30 minutes. Went really fast. So you guys grab some comb and honey straight from the ivory beehive. Let's try it out.
All right.
That's
actually
delicious.
That is fabulous.
Like it, Nick?
Mm-hmm. I'm licking it off my glove.
Did you eat some?
Mm-hmm.
Is it good?
Almost got like mint.
Yeah.
Just so neat. All honey tastes so different. It's really good. It's got like a real kind of minty flavor to it.
Well, Rob and Nick, thank you so much for coming out and working with our bees. Just really helped having you here to help me catch a swarm today. That was really fun. And get to see how many mites we had in a couple of our hives, and then get to treat them, and just to see how quick and painless it was to treat the bees. That really took my fear, I guess, out of doing it on my own. So I can't thank you enough for making the trip out here.
Yeah, sure. So we started off the day doing a lot of mite washes with the Easy Techs. They're the yellow. They're kind of the gold standard. We then added some of our products into the mix to make the process easier. So we had our sampling and grafting tray, queen excluder, which we talked about briefly in some of the footage, but didn't need because we spotted the queens. And then to expedite the counting process, to be able to weigh them and that kind of thing, we had our spinner. We don't really have a great name for it yet. And then the big thing, the big reason why we came out here was the InstaVap. So Lorob is the US distributor for InstaVap. We built a bunch of accessories stateside for them. And yeah, so we ran an InstaVap 18-volt compact. That's what they'll see in the videos. And we have a carrying case that we make in-house stateside that we've been toting them around in.
Well, awesome. So we treated today. When do I need to treat them again?
So I think that's a longer discussion, so we'll have to kind of talk about it and see how things go. A lot of the hives were in good shape. You do have a bunch of brood, so maybe we'll get on some sort of treatment cycle. But I don't think you're in a heavy lifting spot. A few of them were very low numbers, so maybe hit them again in a week, do a few more tests, see what you got, and we'll see if you need a regimen. If you don't, maybe it will hold you over. So we'll have a longer discussion about that.
We had such a great time working with Rob and Nick from Lorobi's.
This is so deep. This is unreal.
We can't thank them enough for coming out and showing us how to use their products, making it much less intimidating to treat our bees going forward. He's got some really cool products that are really gonna make this process easier for us. If you wanna check out any of those, just go down to our description and there'll be links to all of those products down there. And be sure to give Lorobi's a follow on YouTube. They filmed while they were out here as well, and so you can check out their video while you're on their channel. We'll see you guys next time.
Mm-hmm.